square right, don't cut, care rocks on exit. 80. Turn right 1, don't cut, care rocks on exit. 100 past junction. 80 crest, left 6 past junction, 150. Right 5, don't cut, past junction. Left 5 past junction, 100 to finish.
Thanks, guys. Hello, welcome to the Dirt Show. I'm just Big Lee.
I'm Paul Coleman.
This is our Germany update. It's a tidy first run there, Mr. Robson. Well done. We'll flick it straight over onto some replay cam. First things first, Paul. Where should we start? What's gone into the Germany update?
So probably the first thing to talk about is Germany. So
Germany's gone into the Germany update.
We've put two new stages in, both set in the Baumholder area of Germany that many rally fans will be familiar with. It's something I'm really excited about. It's somewhere I've always wanted to do some rallying, and actually quite interestingly, I think it sits quite nicely with the type of rallying that you get in sort of more local venues. Certainly here in the UK, you get these single venue rallies that happen in farmyards and out in airfields and stuff, where it's kind of junction based. You're doing long straights into tight corners, and I think the Baumholder stages really reference that quite nicely, but obviously on a more global scale. Then on top of the stages, which are fast and technical and offering a completely new challenge, we've also got a couple of new car classes. So we've got the kit cars that any rally fans from the late 90s will be familiar with. We've got a Peugeot 306 Maxi that you can see on the screen here, and a Seat Ibiza as well. And then we've also introduced some Group B rear-wheel drive cars. So in previous games we'd put the Opel Manta in as part of the 80s rear-wheel drive class, but obviously it was considered a Group B car. And to give that a friend to play with, we've also introduced a personal favourite of mine, which is the Lancia 037. We've chosen the Evo 2 model for that, but yeah, both of those cars really fast. I mean, if you take the speed and power that the other Group B cars that are already in the game, the four-wheel drive Group B cars have, and then you just give that through the rear wheels, that gives you an idea of how challenging and tricky they are to drive. And on top of that, we've also added a cheeky little Opel Kadett into the 70s class. So there's another car in the 70s class for people to get to grips with. It's kind of like somewhere between the 131 Abarth and the Ford Escort in terms of challenge. But it's a nice little chassis, and it's got a great sounding engine. Our audio guys have done an awesome job, and I hope you can hear the screaming of the 306 Maxi in this replay. The car that we recorded, I think it revved up to 11,000 RPM, maybe even more. I'm sure Dave will correct me. But yeah, just the intense sound of that normally aspirated engine is something else.
Cool. Guys, you can all go carry on with the Rallycross pack now if you want. Thank you. I realised that everybody's standing in the background awkwardly waiting for me to let them go. Okay, so something that kind of happened in between this update and the last update was our Big Force feedback kind of patch that was all based off of the feedback that we'd had since launch.
Yeah.
For anybody that's new to the game, they're not going to notice much of a difference, but for somebody who's coming back to the game now that this update is out, what kind of changes are they going to expect to find?
So I think the key thing is that the responsiveness that you'll get from the steering wheel is much more intuitive. It's much more in keeping with what you would actually expect to get through the steering wheel in real life. I'll hold my hands up and say that the force feedback we had in Dirt Rally at launch was derived from our console code base. It was very much driven around the notion that many of the console steering wheels that we developed for only had 270 degrees of rotation maximum, so you were kind of going lock to lock in quite a short order. And so it was fairly primitive, I think it's fair to say. But based on feedback that we got from guys like Better Lines, we sat down with our simulation team and worked out exactly what it was that we needed to do to improve the system. And it wasn't just a case of rewriting bits of it. We ripped out the whole system and plugged in a new one. And it's taken us a while to get to this point, excuse me, because obviously just doing the underlying part of it was actually a fairly simple part, but then layering in all of the menus and the calibration options and the different sliders and dead zone settings was obviously a whole extra body of work. So we needed to get all of that stuff in and tested and working, which is why we dropped it in as a package in the middle of the last two content updates. That's not to say that we've done it and we're just 100% happy with it. We know that there are some guys out there that have got wheels that aren't in our supported list that are struggling to use their steering wheel in game, and we're looking at sorting that out. And I know that a lot of people have been wanting to be able to calibrate their clutch pedal and set a dead zone for that as well, because when you're in a motion rig, that can often cause the clutch pedal to move and therefore jump you out of gear. So we've still got plenty of refinements to do with both force feedback and general controls for the game, but it's one of the most important areas. You've got your cars, you've got your cameras that you're viewing the cars from, and you've got your control methods.
So there's plenty more to come.
Yeah, plenty more to come. I mean, we're really happy with it as it came out in the update, though. I think it's been a huge improvement, and certainly for me, I played this game for the best part of 9 months before it came out using the old force feedback, and I'll hold my hands up and say I was none the wiser. But you know, now that the new force feedback's in there, it's like playing a completely new game again, and I'm loving going through. I've just bought a new rig at home, and I'm absolutely loving playing it all over again.
Cool. We'll get Mr. Robson started off on the new stage. So, in the game, how many... Actually, before we get to that, I want to do something. If any of you guys are watching on Twitch, we've got some Dirt Rally swag. There's a notebook, T-shirts. I've got pens, stickers. There's a poster somewhere as well. I'm going to be giving all of those away. If you head over to twitter.com/dirtgame and look for the tweet that went up at about 3 o'clock that said we were live on Twitch, if you go over and retweet that, what we'll do at the end of the show, we'll pick a couple of people that have retweeted it. We'll pick 3 winners and they'll each get a swag pack. So head over to twitter.com/dirtgame and give that retweet a tweet. Okay, back to Germany. So how many stages have we included in this new update? So,
as with all our other locations, we've got the 12 stages in there, based around 2 main stages, and then we subdivide them. So, yeah, I mean, we've got... it's high summer in Germany when this event takes place, so in... like all the flora and fauna is like kind of growing as you would expect in the summer, but obviously European summers, there's obviously rain there as well, so we've got the multiple surface types that you get within a tarmac environment like this. So there's concrete, there's cobblestones, and there's some smooth tarmac in there as well. And all of those surfaces change quite dramatically when they get wet. So some sections get quite slippery and greasy, and other sections get quite kind of like puddle filled. So yeah, it's a good spectrum of surface and challenge. I think the key thing with Germany is it does sit quite different in terms of the way that it flows compared to our previous rally stages. So we've like Greece, Monte Carlo and Wales, they've all got quite a steady flow to the way that the stages run, whereas with Germany it's much more about, you know, flying down a straight as fast as you can and then hitting your braking points, clipping the apex, and then charging down the next straight. So you can lose a lot of time being hesitant in the braking. You can also lose a hell of a lot of time if you overshoot and go through into the bales and stuff. So very different mindset required, but the challenge is definitely there. I was playing it quite a lot over the weekend in the Opel Manta, and just that sense of like having to tweak the handbrake at just the right moment and then control the power out of the corner is something that you don't really get with the other stages quite so much, because it is that technical. One of the key things to note with Germany actually is that we've layered in a tarmac setup that's much stiffer and a bit more sort of vigorous than the Monte Carlo setup, which is a bit of a softer winter setup. So all of the cars that were previously in the game, plus the new cars that we've introduced, are all set up slightly differently for Germany, so that they can make the most out of the tarmac.
I've just noticed he's gone for the 037 in the wet. That's brave.
It is pretty bold, yeah. We'll see if we can keep it on the road or not. But yeah, like it. That's what I love about it as well. It's such a great challenge, but certainly in the wet you can feel the car scrubbing through the slope
There he goes.
stuff. But if you put a wheel on the grass in the wet, that's it. It's like you go backwards, as Mike so brilliantly demonstrated there.
It's totally set up.
Yeah.
And turn square left, don't cut. 80. Pass junction.
So
100.
the differences, I suppose, the differences between the like you say with the tarmac with this and with Monte Carlo. Obviously, there's no ice there.
Turn square left, don't cut.
Kind of differently in your hands when you're actually playing it.
Yeah, so in the wet it's actually quite close, but generally the cars will feel stiffer. Certainly in the dry, the grip will be much greater when you're talking about sliding. Like there's much more grip, but then when it does go, it's much sharper transition. So generally the cars feel a lot more planted when you're going through these fast sections. But if something goes slightly wrong, or if you touch the grass, then that's it. It's much more of a game changer than in Monte Carlo, where touching a bit of ice or running a bit wide, you're kind of already sliding, so you can catch it a lot easier. So the grip to slip is quite a dramatic change with Germany, which is why you need to keep it on the straight and narrow.
Cool. Earlier on Twitter and on Reddit and Steam forums and everywhere, we were asking people to send over some questions. I figured we'll jump into some of those. So Jack Dyer over on Twitter has asked, how do you feel about early access? Does the constant positive and negative feedback help, or would you rather go back to the old ways?
I love early access actually. I think just getting up every morning and never really knowing what the community is going to be saying about the game has certainly opened my eyes to development in a new way. I think being able to react to the feedback has been hugely helpful and positive. Definitely being able to fix something that everybody didn't like is something that previously has always been a tough ask, because quite regularly you'll be off working on the next game or spinning up the next project. So being able to interact with the fans, hear what they want and then react to it is hugely positive. In terms of content, all it really means is that we're layering in the content in stages rather than doing it as a big drop at the end. So I don't think that part of it's actually changed that much, although what we are finding, certainly with the cars, is that as we learn new things with the new cars, we can then look at layering them back into the earlier cars that we've launched with.
So what kind of things would that be then?
So it's stuff like engine friction values, air resistance. You know, we got quite a few things that we learned from Pikes Peak that we've introduced into, I think, some of the cars, but not all of them. And then we've got some stuff coming for the rallycross cars that we definitely want to layer into all of the cars in the experience. So what I'm hoping to do is do a pass on all of the vehicles before the end of early access that basically gives us what we believe is the sort of more refined version of all of these cars, because what you have to remember is that what we've gone out with is like our first stab at it, but obviously we want to be able to refine and improve everything as we go along, and the best way to do that is to get tens of thousands of players out there playing it and telling us what they think.
Cool. Next question is from, I'm not reading that username out, it's from Joe on Twitter. What are your favourite cars to drive in the game?
So, yeah, it used to be the Group A cars, because that was kind of my era. Grew up with the Group B stuff, but then actually got passionate about following rallying as a fan when Colin and those guys were out driving the Group A cars. So yeah, I absolutely love bombing around in the Impreza and the Delta Integrale, but now that this pack's come online, I'm a little bit kind of swaying towards the kit cars. Absolutely love the 306 Maxi. It's one of those ones that gets you with its engine audio. but then you actually start really appreciating the dynamic of, you know, a high-powered, very lightweight front-wheel drive car. And I think all of us had a 306, at least a family member or a best friend, or
my mum had one, 306 Meridian. It was blue.
Yeah, so living in Coventry for quite a while, they used to make them there as well. So there were thousands of them around. But yeah, like just being able to hustle one of them around a rally stage is great fun.
Okay, and the next one is from Alex Sinclair NFL. When you're designing stages, is it harder to map the subtle camber of tarmac or the drastic bumps of gravel?
So I think it's a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So with tarmac, obviously it's generally smoother, but you need to get the transitions from surface to surface right, and the transition from the edge of the road onto grass is also quite challenging. And knowing that the cars are more stiffly sprung means that you have to be quite careful about those transitions, because if you're passing over a junction, and by that I mean when there's a road that you're kind of driving across the crossroad, so the road that you're driving across is slightly raised, you can't make that transition too high, otherwise the car's going to go pinging off into the air, or get so badly unsettled that it just does something that is unnatural. Although it's potentially easier, tarmac also creates challenges in terms of the refinement that you have to do. Whereas with gravel, you kind of embrace how organic the surface is, so making a slight error in the geometry, not saying that our guys are doing that because they're perfectionists, but
turn hairpin right, no cut.
to when I did some work experience with some automotive engineering guys, and they were originally draftsmen who were drawing by hand, and then they transitioned over to the computers, and their bosses were like, oh, you've got computers now, so you'll be able to do things twice as fast. But actually, because of the detail required with the computer, they actually had to spend just as long doing it as when they were hand drawing stuff. So it's kind of like each one has as much challenge to it as the other.
Cool. Just trying to catch up on Twitter, which has gone mental. I'm having some problems with the Twitch chat box as well, so if you're talking to us on Twitch at the minute, I can't see your messages. Sorry, but I will try and take a look later. Mr. Raptor has asked if there's any time frame for when other disciplines like rallycross will be added.
So I'm going to say next for rallycross. And if you're into your puzzles and you like working out patterns and codes, you might have seen a pattern emerging as to how we're releasing our content. So you can draw your own conclusions from that. But rallycross is our next priority.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to bringing that content into Dirt Rally. It'll be great to go door to door with other cars on track at the same time, and taking all of the stuff that we've learned from the physics along the way and bringing that into an on-track environment where you are competing head-to-head. I think that's going to offer another facet to the game.
Cool. So I mean, one of the other things as well, like regarding the whole timeline of the game, if you guys are interested in what we're doing and what we've also done, if you head over to dirtgame.com, there's literally our timeline on there, and you can see all of the updates that have come before it, all of the blog posts, all the videos, they're all there. And then going forward, there's some rough sticks in the ground for when we plan on putting more content out. That's all being updated actually. I've seen an early version of that the web guys are working on. So we're going to make that much easier to sort of read and keep up to date and know what's going on with as well, which is really, really cool. I think we're ready for another stage. That was a tidy run, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Like, the 037 in the wet, it's a bit of a handful. I'm quite keen to see the kit car next.
Yeah, so I mean, we saw the 306 Maxi to begin with, but if we jump in the Ibiza now, maybe do a night stage or something, so you won't see it particularly, but you see its lights in the replay.
So with the Baumholder stage and the way that we built it, is it kind of the same way that we put it together with a lot of our other stages? Is it all based? Is it for those who don't know? Is it fictional? Is it a real world place? How did we go about creating it?
So it is a real world place. as with all of our locations, we send a research team out there comprised of level designers and artists, and they initially map the area and then decide on the stage that they're going to run. They then go out there with their cameras, with a GoPro, and get as much footage and research material as possible from the area, and then they bring it back into the studio and build it up as a white box environment that then gets sent to our offshore studio in Kuala Lumpur. They do the body of work on it, and then it gets brought back into the studio here to get polished up. This one's actually quite interesting because it's in a military compound, so and they do tank training exercises there. So they had to be chaperoned by a guy from the German military to make sure that they weren't going to be in the middle of taking some photos when some live fire tank shells were passing over. But yeah, it's a real place. The roads that we're using are real. Once again, the brilliant tape measure has been brought out to make sure that the roads are the correct width, and yeah, we're doing everything we can to bring the most authentic rally stages to the community as possible.
Left 6.
So, like you say with the tape measure, that's kind of the old-fashioned. Well, I suppose I'd call it the old-fashioned way because I in my head I kind of think everything would be laser scan now, but we don't. Obviously, we don't do that because you'd miss out on a lot of the, I suppose, the handcrafted stuff.
Yeah, look, if I'm honest with laser scanning, as cool as it would be, ultimately to then bring it into a game environment, you'd have to lose so much of that fidelity that you have got from a laser scan, that it would just come down to where we've got it anyway in terms of resolution. So until people have all got supercomputers at home capable of actually,
Right 5 continues 100.
it's really just not worthwhile, I think, at this point. But actually the craft that goes into the track, I think offsets the additional accuracy that you would get if
It's having a restart.
What
are you doing?
Just can't get the start for this. So yeah, I think as cool as laser scanning sounds, it is one of those things that I think works really nicely if you're looking for potholes on a road, but perhaps not if you're making a video game.
I've got loads of really good questions. I can't actually decide which one to answer next. Hill climb, rally cross. Which do you prefer and why? And that's from @Marty.
So I'm just going to say rally because that's what I'm about. It's all about the rally for me. But I totally get why rallycross is as popular as it is, and I do love going door to door with other drivers. But there's something about attacking a stage with the co-driver and just basically trying to get through that stage as quick as possible, knowing that there's 100 other people all trying to do the same thing better than you. That I think it offers you a very different challenge to other forms of motorsport out there, and I am deeply looking forward to the rallycross content when that comes. But for me, I've always been about the rally, and that's what I love. So yeah, it's rally for me.
I had my first go on some of the rallycross stuff earlier. Late last week. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Like it's a bit weird for me because I was out there on the research trips. We'll probably talk more about this in the rallycross live stream when we do that. But I was out there for the research trip, so it's weird like being there literally from the very start and then all the way through to the point where it's in game, and it's like it's quite cool. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rallycross stuff. I think it's gonna be good fun online. Some of the other things that we've changed in this update, I have a note from Darren, the online events man. So we've got 2 new online events now. Mm-hmm. How do those online events differ from the ones that we've had previously in the game? They're not. The old ones are still there, mm-hmm. but these new ones, how are they different?
Yeah, so you've got the notes in front of you, but I believe that we're introducing a new daily event called the Owners Club, and this is an opportunity for people who've already bought the car that's available in the daily to take that car with its upgrades and its tuning and use that to compete against everyone in a daily event. So the key thing with that is that players were getting a little bit frustrated that they weren't able to tune and set up the cars that we were giving them on the daily challenge, but we thought, well, why not like go the whole hog and let people do what they do in the weekly and monthly events with that daily. So it means that now every day you've got 2 reasons to play dirt rather than one. But I think it's really cool because it's I think players that have been playing the game for a while now should have most of the cars in their garage, and those that haven't have got something to aspire to. So every single day there'll be a new car that if you haven't got it, you might want to consider buying it and getting it upgraded so that you can compete in that extra event.
Cool. So the new weekly that we've added as well, like Paul said, they're all sort of on the same screen. Many of our online event players will probably already be. Time is it? Yeah, they'll already be doing them, I imagine. So the new weekly, we're going to kind of experiment with these ones. The first one is a world tour of the longest stages in the game.
Yep.
To give the guys a bit of a heads up, next week is Monte Carlo, and there's word that there's a storm brewing. Increased rewards over the existing weekly for your troubles. That's a note from Darren.
Yeah, so I mean, this is something that we're sort of playing around with. It's different ways to play and different challenges. Something I'm quite keen to try and do is almost get the player to enter the event without knowing what the event is, and then kind of have the dice rolled on them and see how they respond. So yeah, I think that extra weekly is just a chance for us to play with new systems, new reward structures, and see how people react to them, while keeping the sort of consistent weekly event that we have in the past. What it also means is that we can start feeding in the kind of new content into the traditional format, while keeping the new format for the older content. So you're going to get that kind of crossover as well.
Cool. There's one other big change that we've sort of done with the online events, and to do with the way our leaderboards work and the reward structure and everything like that. Without giving too much away, what have we implemented? I know it's something that a lot of people have sort of been asking for over the last week or so.
Yeah, so over the last few weeks it's been pretty clear that some players haven't been setting legitimate times on our leaderboards, and you know we're desperately keen to stop that from happening, because ultimately there's the vast majority of you guys out there playing the game are playing it legitimately, and you're competing on fair and even terms, but the guys out there that aren't are not exactly making it fun for everyone else. So we've got a system in place now to be monitoring that behaviour, and we're going to be policing it as well.
Cool. Hope that answers everybody's questions. Obviously it's all like an ongoing kind of service, so I mean, if we've not got it right this time, people find workarounds around it, then we'll keep closing those doors on them. Yeah. So I'm pretty pleased with how. I'm actually surprised with how clean everything's been, sort of so far, with regards to the leaderboards and stuff like that. There's not a great deal of people that are sort of cheating.
Yeah, and those that are, you know, it's sad in a way, but you know, we'll be addressing them, you know, in a way that's suitable.
Cool. Right, I'm going to jump over to a question from Reddit. We've got our own subreddit, which is r/dirtgame. So any of you Redditors pop over and say hello for funny pictures of people stacking their car and don't cut videos, which are one of my favourites. This one's from Liquid1Me. He says, since this game is an experiment for the studio, how do you like the community so far?
I really like the community, yeah.
Is the right answer.
Yeah, I love the community. Suffice to say, I think, you know, community relations can often be awkward when the community don't like the product that you're making, and I think we've been, you could say, fortunate that the fans have been really appreciating the stuff that we've been doing, and it's been kind of building from that great starting point. But one thing I'm really keen to say is that we are listening to your feedback, even though on the are reading as much all in. There's a, but like we're on most of the stuff we are listening. Guys aren't happy with improving that. So, we can't do this without you guys, and I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's out there playing the game and who's talking about the game, and who's saying it's a great game, because that momentum, that word of mouth really helps us push this forwards into the future.
Yeah, I mean, the guys for me, I mean, I don't know, I feel a bit, I've always kind of known them since I've been here for like the last 2 years. I've been teasing a very small select group of people on the forums, on Twitter, and it's been fun dropping all the hints, heads out all there, and then that exists on Reddit. Great. Those guys are brilliant. It's been really cool watching sort of all of these different people pop up, and for me, watching people help each other out all the time has been the coolest thing for me. Like the video guides that people do, and if you head to the guide section on Steam, there's loads of people that have done like stuff on there as well, like telling you how to sort of play the game and the best way to set your stuff up. So if you're ever stuck, like, that's a great place to go to for sort of help and advice.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Tarobi, maybe. Tarobi from Reddit. Yeah, he says, are there any plans to refine the AI's times going forward in the future?
What's he continue to say?
Are there any plans to refine the AI's times?
At this point, if you finish first on the first run of the event, you'll maintain lead, stay in the top 3. Well, if you mess up, you end up mid-pack and it becomes fairly unrecoverable. So yes, definitely, and certainly if we look at refining the simulation of the cars, then obviously we're going to need to do another pass on the AI. Right now they are set up in a way where they simulate drivers and their characteristics. So you may get a really good driver who's consistent, you may get a really good driver or a fast driver who's inconsistent. We've tried to model that behaviour, and what you'll see sometimes if you go through like a 12-stage event is that fast driver manages to keep going for like 6 or 7 stages, and you're just losing to that guy, and then suddenly he'll have a big crash or even a terminal event, and he'll suddenly drop off the leaderboard, and you'll be left top of the podium. So we've tried to create a sense of a narrative through rally events. If any of you guys follow any rally events, like through the results service that you get, you'll notice like different drivers dropping off the timing charts over the course of the event, and that's the kind of thing that we've tried to emulate. But obviously, right now, the fastest driver in an event is pretty much always the fastest driver, and his speed doesn't change depending on the difficulty, but the rest of the drivers within the roster do. So what we may look at doing is actually introducing a system where if you are choosing the novice level of the game, then you'll find it easier to win the event than the master difficulty. So yeah, this is all up for refinement. I would like to get a bit more sort of narrative into there and try and get a bit more ebb and flow between the drivers, because yeah, I think it's fair to say that you can get stuck in a pocket of challenge. But yeah, it's all open to change.
Cool. I've lost the question, but my computer just locked on me. 1 sec, where's it gone? No, I completely forgot which one I was going to ask. I'll ask this one instead. So jumping ahead to next month's update, Sticky98 asks, will Rallycross have contact, and how will that affect the car's performance?
So right now we're still sort of balancing how much damage the Rallycross cars can take, because obviously our rally cars are set up to compete over multi-stage events with service areas every 2 stages. For Rallycross, we're planning to allow you an hour-long service window in between each heat or each race, depending on where you are within the event. So big impacts will affect your performance over the course of the weekend, whereas smaller, minor, kind of side-by-side, kind of general racing incidents shouldn't take you out of the running for the whole weekend and should give you a bit of damage that might affect your performance slightly within the race, but will also be quite repairable within the service window. So it will have an impact, but we don't want it to get to a point where you bash wheels with someone and that's it, race over. But that said, we don't want to encourage contact either, so we're yet to strike that balance, but it is going to be different to how we do the rally damage.
Cool. Do you fancy doing the daily for something a bit different? Yeah. I'm not sure what the daily is today.
No idea.
No. We find out when you guys do, because Darren doesn't tell anyone.
Career. He's never played the game before. You can tell from the way he drives.
I've never seen the front end.
This is where it's going to tell us we're on the special development build of the game. Anyway,
no, you're alright.
Oh no, is it there? So there we go. Let's do the...
So what's the Owners Club today? I've got a Delta S4 if you want to do that.
There we go. So we'll do the new Owners Club daily.
See, messing with my liveries.
Oh, oh, a night. Oh, that's in the wet. This is going to be interesting.
Great.
And it's the long one. Wow, there's a start.
I'll be picking up the repair bill.
Very big one.
So, obviously we could have gone through sort of all of the setup options and things there as well. Advice for anybody who would be do today's daily, how would you advise them to set the car up?
So that it will stop when you
just to get a little bit more out of it. Is there any little...
Yeah,
I mean, most of the cars are set up quite well anyway, but is there any little fine tweaks that people could do to maybe find a couple of extra seconds?
So I believe, and I'm not one to dabble too much because I put my trust entirely in our car handling team, but I know that a lot of the guys out there do like to dabble. Generally, I think with any tarmac rally, it's up to you to find a balance between the stiffness of the car and how twitchy it becomes from that extra responsiveness. But if you can handle like how quickly it changes direction, then get that car lower and stiffer. Get your brake strength up as high as you can. Find a nice balance so that the car, as you're on the brakes and you start to turn into the corner, it's not going to do anything that's going to catch you out. For me, it's all about getting a setup that allows you to get as confident as you can be with the car, and therefore allows you to competently get the time that you're hoping to get. Certainly with the daily challenges, I want to be able to drive the car as quickly as I can, but not make any mistakes along the way. Whereas, when I'm competing against the AI, I'll often set the car up so that I'm going faster and not worry too much about the mistakes because I've always got the cushion of the restart. So yeah, it's really, I think that what we've tended to do with our car setup, certainly from a location perspective, is to make them a safe middle ground setup, and then it's up to the player to refine the setup to suit their driving style, and you can do that through a number of means, be it suspension, brakes, transmission. Differentials are actually a really important one, and actually that speaks to one of those really great guides that was on the Steam forums. I can't remember his name, but one of the guys put on kind of the process that you go through to set up the car to your liking, and he picked out quite a nice section of road that covered off a lot of the different types of corner that you get within all the stages, but in one stage, and it's Bid No Moreland Reverse, I think was the one that he picked. So if you're looking for a place to set the car up and do lots of different types of corner within one location, that's a great stage to do it on, and then you just work your way through the different parameters. The key thing I'll say to you is don't change everything at once and then go in and try the car, because you'll never know what it was that made the car feel good or bad. So change one thing at a time, and we've got some fairly decent descriptions, I think, in the setup screens that kind of give you an inkling as to what those changes will do. So if you're looking for the car to understeer or oversteer more, start reading through some of those descriptions and you get a pretty good pointer as to how to go about it. Other than that, go to university, get an automotive engineering degree, start working for a rally team, and you'll probably become pretty good.
But they can tell us how to do it. Skip, I'm sure we get this question every live stream. This month it's from Pro Loser 2.
He's a pro
He's a pro loser, and sadly, he didn't even. He's that much of a loser. He couldn't even get like the first or the second instance of that username.
Yeah, he's the third pro loser.
But he would like to know how many cars, tracks, environments will there be in the full game, and by what year do you expect the game to be completed by?
Big questions. So I'm hoping at least 40 cars are going to be in there, but still not tied that down yet. In terms of tracks, my maths isn't good enough to do this on the fly, but definitely hoping for 6 rally locations, 3 rallycross circuits, and obviously we've got Pikes Peak in there already. So a good chunk of locations, and then it's all about the features that we can wrap it around that. In terms of time frame, well, our roadmap, if you look at that, it's talking about towards the end of the year. So I think that's where we're looking to make the decision. But it will either be one that we continue with, or one that we decide to sort of seal the envelope at that point.
Cool. I'm actually surprised.
And right 4 long, into caution left 6 don't cut crest, into right 3 times 2, left 4 long don't cut, right 3 times 2, 80 over crest,
How's that?
left 6 continues 100 over crest, 80.
The audio's back on. Right, I'll start again. So something that always comes up. One of the questions that people are always asking us: what are the chances of a console version happening for Dirt Rally? Obviously, at E3 earlier this month, Microsoft announced effectively the Xbox version of Early Access. Is that something that we could perhaps move on to, or have we kind of missed the boat for Dirt Rally with that?
I think it's a tricky one. I think early access on console, it's obviously in a bit of a fledgling state at the minute. We're not entirely sure how that's going to work. I think for us it's better to continue in early access on PC. In terms of where we go for a console version, I think it will be built from wherever we arrive towards the end of our PC early access period.
So it's like the most important thing is getting the PC version.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we're going to focus on that. That's what we said we were going to do, and absolutely believe that we should be delivering on that promise. We know that there's plenty of work left to do on this, and we're very keen to get that work finalised before then taking that onto other platforms. So yeah, that's the way we're looking at it now. But I've got a PS4 at home. I'm desperately keen to be able to play it on my TV rather than having to go and sit in the corner of the room on my PC and put my headphones on. So
It's going to involve playing less Destiny though, if we do that.
Yeah.
Where are you going to fit it in between raid night and Nightfall night?
Well, we may just have to have a dirt rally night.
Oh, okay.
I'll negotiate that with the wife.
Swinging back round to, I guess, kind of a future update. Gabrielle ALV1 is interested to know how multiplayer is going to be added in the future.
So first things first is to get the Rallycross content in from a player versus computer point of view, and then we've got a second update planned where we're going to introduce player versus player for Rallycross and get all of the sort of net code and everything running as stably as possible. Excuse me. So once we've got Rallycross working in a PvP environment, then we may look at introducing it across the entire game. But for now, it's going to be focused on Rallycross because that's the sort of door-to-door racing that we want to try and represent.
That wasn't a bad run. From the bits I've seen, you didn't seem that bad. The car's in one place.
Did roll it. Sorry.
Kept your lights on though, right?
Yeah, that's important.
Let's go back and see where we came. Can we see where we came on the new weeklies? Yes, we can.
Yeah, if you continue out of here and then you look at the details on the event again.
See how we're done. What we might do is we'll have another competition where if anybody beats your time, we'll.
So everybody will.
Yeah, so everybody will.
So if you, yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, what?
Dear, oh dear.
You're getting spanked by the community already. 747 181. If you do the if you do the new Owners Club daily and beat that time in your car, tweet us a picture of your final screen, and of everybody that tweets us a picture, we'll pick one lucky winner that beat that time, and you will get a Dirt Rally t-shirt, notebook, there's stickers, lanyards, posters, there's all sorts.
Doing better than someone.
Skip back from that. There we go. Back. Sorry about that. Don't know what's going on with the audio. Well, thought we'd fix that after last week. We've got time for, I think, one more stage. We'll finish on a Germany track.
Yeah.
Any you would recommend?
Don't let him do another daily event because I actually want to have a go at doing that. So, Mike, have you done one with the crash jet in it yet?
Yeah.
You have. Okay.
Do the crash jet again.
Yeah. There's one. You'll see it in the picture. So when you choose the stage, and let's have it in a nice, beautiful, sunny day, so everyone can see it in all its. Maybe. Or the
Co-driver in real life. You're the voice of the co-driver in the game, and me and Darren, who's also on the game design team, headed down to Minehead to watch you and John Tucker. Hello, John. Compete in the rally. Mm-hmm. And there was a Manta that was there, like a purple one, and the guy was, a lot of the time with these older cars in sort of rallies like that, the guys sort of, they're competing but they're kind of looking after them at the same time, because obviously they're really, like, they must be insanely expensive to keep together. But the guy with the Manta was absolutely booting it, and just seeing one like in real life just flying, it just made me feel like I was about 12. It was great.
Yeah, there's a few guys out there. I mean, you get it a lot with the escorts, because the escorts now, there's a few historic like ones out there with their papers and stuff that are well looked after and don't get flogged to death, but there's a lot out there which are essentially built from road going chassis that are then given all of the trimmings to make them as fast as they possibly can. And those types of cars, you have to chuck them in sideways to make sure that you're going to get through the corner as effectively as possible. And it is great to see those cars getting thrashed around. I mean, at Race Retro earlier this year, we saw a Ferrari 308 getting driven really hard, and you know, he was catching up with most of the other stuff out there, including, I think at one point there was a Ford Focus WRC that was not exactly getting booted around at that particular point, but he was definitely hustling them around. So, you know, it's great. It's one of those things where you love to see these cars getting used for the purpose that they were built for, rather than just getting left in a museum with a drip tray underneath them. So, you know, it's great to see those guys out there essentially treating these cars in the way that they were built to be driven. So, yeah, and it does make the hair stand up on the back of your neck when you see a Manta power sliding through a big hairpin bend. I've seen the photos and it was a sight to behold. Just shame about the purple paint job.
I didn't get a chance to go at the weekend, but Festival of Speed Goodwood was on. If any of our followers, any of you guys are watching, sort of there, tweet us your pictures of all your rally cars. If you made it up to the rally stage, it'd be cool. We'd love to see them, because I didn't get a chance to go and I was a bit upset.
Yeah, one of our rally friends, Ryan Champion, was there driving his Group A Subaru Impreza around, and I believe our audio team went down there and stuck some mics on a few cars while they were down there. So hopefully we'll be able to layer that stuff back into Dirt Rally to make the sound even more incredible as we go forwards. So really looking forward to that.
So, with real world rally, the sort of rally that you do, what's kind of the hardest thing about it for for sort of you as just, I want to say ordinary guys with just normal jobs that try and do it as a hobby? Like, how tricky is it to get into? How
It's actually not hugely, certainly as a co-driver, it's not challenging at all.
you just sit there?
Send off your license and wait for it to come back, and then that's it. But doing it is actually a bit more challenging, and I'm very grateful to John Tucker for helping me kind of learn how to do it. I think the more traditional route in is to do 12-car navigation rallies with your local car club and build it up to a point where you go to single venue events at airfields and in farms and places, and then you eventually get out into the stage rally side of things. But yeah, I mean, I'd say, as with many motorsports, the hardest thing about getting into it is the cost, and actually being able to bang together an old Citroen Saxo and do a 12-car navigation rally is not hugely expensive. It's the cost of a car club membership and $1,000 on a Citroen Saxo off eBay, because trust me, you don't want to get something that's pristine, because you're going to be beating it around the country lanes. But it's a really great way of getting used to navigating, getting used to timekeeping, for drivers to get used to listening to pace notes and understanding direction and working your way around sort of narrow country lanes. And then it's just a case of graduating on from that point onwards. And I was quite fortunate. I did some 12-car nav runs with John, and then very quickly jumped into the co-driving seat in a B13 class Subaru Impreza, which is plenty quick enough to be going through the forest. And yeah, actually I would say that 12-car navigation rallies from a co-driver's point of view are more challenging than reading pace notes in a stage rally, because you're looking through a magnifying glass at 40-50 mile an hour down a narrow country lane, reading an ordnance survey map in the dark, and it's just relentless. It's directions for an hour and a half, whereas with stage rally you've got your sort of 12-mile stage, and then you get a bit of a sort of wind down period through the road section, and then onto the next stage. Whereas with the nav runs, it's just relentless. And so you need to have control of your car sickness if you're ever going to do it as a navigator. But yeah, all great fun and highly recommended.
So, I guess we're coming up towards the end of the live stream now.
Mm-hmm.
What are the plans for, I suppose, the next week and the next month for us in the studio?
So in the studio, we are now going to be listening to the community and hearing what they have to say about Germany. Obviously, if there are any bugs out there that you guys are finding, let us know, and we'll get on the case with fixing them. I saw a couple in there this weekend that I'll be trying to get fixed as soon as possible. A couple of late calls in Germany that I'm not very happy about, but I'm sure you guys you'll notice them more than me, because you drive faster than I do. And then just getting stuff underway with the production of the Rallycross pack. And then, yeah, for you and I, it's
we're going on holiday.
Yeah, packing our suitcase and heading off to Sweden.
Yeah, so we're going to Sweden for round. Shouldn't have gone down this line.
No,
I want to say 6
for a round.
for a round of the World Rallycross Championship. It's at Holgest, which is an absolutely amazing track. That'll be on this weekend. So if you're in Sweden or local, although I don't think anybody's particularly local to the track because it's in the middle of nowhere, you should come along and check out the race. It's going to be pretty epic. Obviously, we're going to be there. If you're most of the world can actually watch the World Rallycross online. So if you head over to their website, you can sort of click the tab on there. If not, there is a page that sort of tells you all the TV listings. I know it's on Eurosport in the UK, and plenty of channels over in the US.
Quest later on if you're watching it in the evening.
Oh yeah, if you have to catch the replay. But yeah, I highly recommend checking out sort of those guys, following them on Twitter, and sort of seeing what they're up to, because it is a really great sport, but it's still in its infancy, so it's still growing. So
yeah, well, it's the fastest growing motorsport in the world, and it's something that we represented in a sort of more kind of gamified way in our previous games. But those guys saw what we were doing and were really excited by it and started to bring some of that formula into their format. And now it's kind of like we're closing the loop, and life is starting to imitate game, and game is imitating life. And so what we're hoping to do is bring the most authentic rallycross that's ever been seen in a video game to dirt rally. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. Just, if nothing, just for the flight over. When I've got like 2 hours when my phone doesn't work, so I can just have some peace and quiet.
Just
Hopefully there's no
don't
Wi-Fi on the
me.
flight.
Don't sleep on me, please.
But yeah, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/dirtgame, Facebook/dirtgame, Reddit, Instagram. We're going to be, well, you'll see what we're up to later in the week. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool.
Can't wait.
So yeah, thank you very much for watching this month's Dirt Show. The competition thing, I will tweet the winners from @DirtGame as soon as I've got a chance to look. My laptop's been a bit funny on me. If you're interested in Rallycross, head to rallycrossrx.com and you can learn a bit more about the sport there. There's videos to watch of like the last round from Germany and sort of all of the other rounds from this season as well, so you can catch up. It is really cool. I'm really excited about doing it. That's all from me. If we asked one of your questions on the show, I'll be tweeting you and asking for your details shortly, or Reddit, or sending you a direct message wherever I've got your question from. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week. That was the wrong button.
Over small crest at 80. Turn right 4. Immediate turn left 3 over bump deceptive. Crest 80. Keep left over crest 100. Past junction through dip 100. Continues for 100. And left 5 long. Into turn square left, don't cut. Down. Turn square left. Caution, keep left into turn square right, don't cut, ditch inside.